Today, we're diving into a moment that truly reshaped our world, the story of the first divine revelation in Islam. It all starts with one man, in a quiet cave, receiving a message that would echo for centuries to come.
So you gotta wonder, right? How does a merchant, a 40-year-old man, sitting alone in a mountain cave, end up receiving a message that would go on to change everything? That's the question we're digging into.
Okay, so to really get what happened in that cave, you first have to understand the man himself, because long before any of this, he was already known for his incredible character. All right, let's set the scene. It's Mecca. The year is 610 AD. We've got Muhammad ibn Abdullah, a man who's just turned 40. Now, he wasn't a king, he wasn't some powerful leader. He was a merchant. But he was a merchant everyone looked up to, someone who held this really special, respected place in his community. You know, people had a nickname for him, Al-Amin, the trustworthy one. And this wasn't just some casual title. It was who he was. People would literally trust him with their life savings. He was the guy you went to for advice, the one who would mediate disputes. He was always looking out for the most vulnerable, the poor, the elderly, the orphans. And here's something really important. In a city full of idols, he never, ever bowed down to one. He always believed there was just one single creator. And this character, this foundation, it's absolutely crucial for understanding everything that comes next.
But even with all this respect, he started feeling this pull towards something more, something beyond the hustle and bustle of Mecca. He was searching for a deeper truth, and that search led him away from the city, into solitude, and to one particular cave.
And this wasn't a sudden thing. For about 3 years, this need for quiet and solitude just kept growing. He'd leave the city behind for days at a time, just to meditate, to think about the universe, its creator, and the meaning of it all.
And this was the place he went to, the Cave of Hira. Picture this. It's on a mountain, about 5 kilometers outside of Mecca. The cave itself isn't huge, only about 4 meters long. But from right there, from its entrance, you could look out and see the Kaaba. So it was in this spot, this quiet, remote place, that he would spend countless hours just in deep, deep thought.
So in the 6 months leading right up to this moment, something pretty amazing starts happening. His dreams, they start coming true. I mean, literally, whatever he would dream about one night, it would happen, just like he saw it the very next day. It was almost like a preparation, you know, a way of bridging the gap between his world and the spiritual encounter that was just around the corner.
And that right there brings us to the absolute turning point of this story, the moment when that quiet solitude is shattered by a divine command. We know the exact date. We're in the year 610. It's the month of Ramadan, a Monday which lines up with August 10th. And this specific night would later be known as the Night of Power.
So there he is, meditating in the cave, and all of a sudden, an angel appears right in front of him. In its hands is a piece of green silk brocade, and on it, words written in shining gold. And the angel's first command is just one word, simple, direct, powerful: read. And his reply was simple and honest. See, he was unlettered. He didn't know how to read or write. So he answered, "I am not a reader." And what happens next is just incredibly intense. The angel grabs him, embraces him with so much force that it literally squeezes the air out of him. Then it lets him go and repeats the command, read. Again, he gives the same answer. So the angel embraces him a second time, even harder, and then a third time with so much pressure he felt like he just couldn't take it anymore. And after that third embrace, the angel finally speaks the words, the very first verses of what would become the Quran. Read in the name of your Lord, who created man from a clinging substance. Read, and your Lord is the most generous, who taught by the pen, taught man that which he knew not. And just think about that for a second. The very first word of a scripture that would champion knowledge and learning was revealed to a man who couldn't read. It's this profound paradox that really sets the stage for the mission to come. So let's be clear, this was not some peaceful, calm vision. This was a powerful, physically crushing experience. And his reaction to it? It was completely and totally human. Yeah, he wasn't feeling enlightened or joyful. He was terrified. I mean, heart-pounding, body-shaking terrified. He scrambled down that mountain and just bolted home, straight to the one person he knew he could trust, his wife, Khadijah. He was genuinely afraid he was losing his mind, or even that his life was in danger. And when he gets to her, his first words aren't about some grand revelation. They're just filled with shock and fear. He says, "Cover me with a blanket. Cover me with a blanket." All he wanted was to feel safe.
And Khadijah's response? It was immediate, it was absolute. She didn't hesitate for a second. She just looked at him and said, with total conviction, never. By Allah, Allah will never disgrace you.
And you see, her faith wasn't just blind belief. It was based on him, on his character. She immediately starts reminding him of who he is, listing off all his virtues, how he's good to his family, helps the poor, welcomes guests, always tells the truth, the very things that made him the trustworthy one. She's basically saying, look at who you are. A person like you, God would never forsake you. So her comfort was that crucial first step, but they needed more. They needed to understand what this unbelievable event actually meant. And that need for answers led them to a prophecy, and it marked the beginning of a very long, very difficult path. So Khadijah takes him to see her cousin, a man named Waraka bin Naufal. Now, Waraka was old and blind, but he was also a highly respected Christian scholar. He knew the ancient scriptures, the Torah, the gospel, inside and out, and he knew that those scriptures spoke of a final prophet who was yet to come. So Muhammad tells him the whole story, everything that happened in the cave. And as Waraka listens, he isn't skeptical. He's not thinking this man is crazy. He's recognizing the details. He realizes he's hearing the description of a divine event that he'd read about in his holy books. And Waraka's words, they give him the confirmation he needs, but they also come with this shocking warning. He says, this is the same angel who was sent to Moses. And then he adds, I wish I were a young man, because your own people, they will drive you out of this city. So in the very same breath as this incredible validation comes this dark prophecy of the struggle ahead. And it really leaves you wondering, doesn't it? Why would a message so profound be met with such fierce opposition from the very people it was meant for?